But first, my next guest is Sall Grover. She's the founder of a social networking app for women and girls called Giggle that's been caught up in a complaint to the Human Rights Commission because it's only open to biological females. The complaint was lodged by a transgender woman, Roxanne Tickle, who's had gender-affirming surgery and is identified now as a female on a Queensland birth certificate. Sall was told she would have to undergo sex and gender re-education and also to allow biological males who identify as women to use her app if she wanted to resolve the complaint. Now, she refused to back down, and the case is now going to the federal court this week. Sall Grover joins me now. Well, Sall, I've called you brave, and I think you absolutely are, because you're standing your ground here. Did you ever think that creating an app for women and girls would end up putting you in the federal court?
Absolutely no way. I just want to run a platform for women. I mean, I didn't know that this whole gender identity ideology existed. Never in my wildest nightmare did I think that there was anyone saying that men are actually women if they just say it. I mean, regardless of whether they do anything to try and appear that way. But I just didn't think anyone would ever take that seriously. It's not even a natural thought that would occur to your mind of like, oh, should I go and find out if men are considered women in law? No, of course not.
In places like Victoria, I mean, you just need to assert you're a woman, even if you are a biological male. And the law in Victoria says that you can have all the rights that women can. I mean, I think about your app, I think about rape shelters, domestic violence shelters, places that are incredibly important to be women's only spaces. I think about change rooms. I think about taking little girls into public toilets. I mean, that's why I think this case is so important. Why is it so important for you to go through hell and back and fight this as you are?
So for all of the reasons that you just listed, I mean, women's spaces and like female spaces, so for women and girls, these are really important. They're important for women's privacy, dignity, safety, and equality in society. We actually all know we've at least heard about what society was like before women had these available to us and before women were actually a category in law that was cared about. It wasn't great for women. Like, women's rights actually are really important, and how we've gotten to a point in society where women are treated equally as human beings to men. And so to now just be told that there's not really any such thing as a woman, anyone can identify into it. I mean, what's the point of even having a category of woman in law if it's not defined as biological adult human female? If it's just a category that any man can become, it's meaningless. So it's important to defend this because, I mean, it's just obviously a disaster for women's rights. But beyond that, for me, it's also a disaster for freedom of belief, freedom of speech, and freedom of association. And if we don't have those in a secular liberal society, we don't have anything, which is why I think everybody should care about this issue. Just beyond the obvious women's rights thing, I think it actually affects everybody.
I have to say that, you know, you've got a huge amount of support. I get dozens of emails from people who support you, who want continued attention on this case that you're mounting through the courts. How's this been for you personally? What's been the reaction of supporters? I mean, are you feeling the support yourself personally?
Oh, I'm so grateful. And I will forever be grateful for everyone who has been so supportive of me. I mean, I've never been more anxious in my life than I am at the moment. I've never been to court like this before, so it's not, it's not a natural state of being. So I'm very, very anxious. I mean, I've got a bald spot. I've lost hair from stress over the whole thing. So it's been a lot. But every time that it feels like it's too much, I have a 20-month-old daughter, and I look to her and I'm just like, I cannot send her out into a world where she cannot state her boundaries, where she cannot state what she believes. And no, I have to make sure that I fight for her and for then everybody else to have rights if I'm in that position to do so.
Well, given what's at stake, Sall, what happens if you lose the case?
Okay, so if we lose in the federal court, then we can appeal to the High Court, which I am fully prepared to do. As I said, I think this is too important. I think that we need to be able to, say what we believe and act upon it. And I firmly, not only do I not believe it, I know that there's not a man on this planet who is actually a woman. There just isn't one. These are proper, actually defined biological categories.
Pretty cut and dried. Sall Grover, I wish you all the very best. I've got a strap there on the screen for my viewers at home.
Thank you.
Anyone who can, I know things are tough at the moment, who can support you, I urge them to do that. gigglecrowdfund.com. Sall, we'll follow this closely. All the very, very best thoughts and prayers with you.